I'm going to give you today a crash course in how to run your brain for phenomenal success. I have been extraordinarily lucky, not in my early life, but certainly in my adult life, because I am an unusual therapist. I never want to be a conventional therapist, ever. And I've always been fascinated by how the mind works. You know, I spent all my adult life studying human behavior, studying how the mind works. And when you work with people like that, you really see something extraordinary, often very good, but sometimes really how their mind works is actually to their detriment. So when I was in therapy school, I was taught what all therapists are taught. Oh my God, the mind is so complicated. It takes a lifetime to even understand it, let alone master it. And when I started working, I thought, you know what, I'm just not going to believe that, because I was so privileged in working with extraordinary people. I worked out very quickly that you need to know 3 things about your brain. And if you know what these 3 things are, and here they are, and if you understand them and put them into practice, you can have pretty much whatever you want. So I'm going to start with number 3. That is the one that therapists find the most frustrating. Your mind loves what is familiar. It doesn't really like what is unfamiliar. We're still wired as tribes people, and in a tribe, you didn't really do anything too unfamiliar that was dangerous. So the human mind likes what is familiar, and it doesn't like what is unfamiliar. Do you know how many lottery winners have lost all their money within 2 years of winning it? I met this guy. I was doing a show in Edinburgh with lottery winners who've lost everything. He won 10 million sterling, lost the whole lot in 2 years, works in a biscuit factory, makes £200 a week, and said he's happier. He didn't like that money. What was familiar to him was spending his paycheck every week, and when he got that 10 million, he got rid of the whole lot. So you got to make the familiar unfamiliar. It's not difficult. It changes your life. So I'm working on this show in England, and I'm taking celebrities who are very fat, and I'm making them thin. And of course, weight is an interesting thing. Do you know that 98% of diets fail? 2% succeed. And so some of these celebrities, we gave them everything. Dietitians, exercise machines, lose a bit of weight, and then they'd have a pizza to celebrate. After every weigh-in, they'd order ice cream. It's like, no, guys. You've got to make this new behavior familiar. You can't celebrate with Ben and Jerry's. Anyway, the show is very good, and it got sold to America, and I got sold to America. Very exciting. So I've gone to LA, and my producers called me and went, I really need your help. One of our major celebrities, because in America they were bigger in terms of stars, and they were bigger in terms of weight too. He said, he's having a meltdown. We're really worried he's going to walk off the show. If he walks off the show, we're kind of screwed. So go to his house today and do whatever you can, keep him on the show. I'm like, I'll go now. He's like, what kind of car have you got? I'm like, I got a Mustang. You rented it for me. Thank you. He's like, okay. You cannot put that Mustang outside his house. You can only have a Porsche or a Ferrari or a Jaguar outside this house. So don't even put it on the street. That will wind him up. Put it around the corner. So I'm driving along to Beverly Hills in my, I thought, very cool Mustang. And I turn up at this massive, extraordinarily stunning house. I knock on the door. He lets me in. He says, I don't know why they sent some Brit here to sort me out. You know, I've been in every rehab. I've seen every therapist. No one can help me. I'm like, let me see what I can do. And then he said to me, you have the look of my third wife. Something about you reminds me. She was such a disappointment to me. So I'm like, this is an amazing house. Wow. We went, I hate this house. I'm leaving. And I hate my neighbors. I'm moving. So I'm like, okay. And then I notice he has a BAFTA, and I'm like, you have a BAFTA? He went, do you know what a curse it is to get a BAFTA? Every time I make a film, I'm expected to get another BAFTA. So I'm like, you know what? I know what's wrong with you. He's like, really? What? I said, you just don't think you're enough, do you? Oh, wait, this is already up for you. You do not think that you are enough. And considering how cranky he was, his big tears started to leak out of his eyes. He said, do you think that's true? And I'm like, come on, I know it's true, and so do you. I mean, look, you can't have a car on your drive unless it's a Porsche. You've had 4 ex-wives, they've all disappointed you. Your BAFTA is a curse, and you don't like this amazing house. But anyway, look, tell me about your life. So he's now quite mellow, and he's telling me his life. He's raised in a trailer park. They have no money. His dad's a construction worker. When he can get work, the mum works as a night nurse for more money, and they're pretty much dirt poor. And because the mum's working nights every day, he cooks his dad a construction worker's dinner of meat, vegetables, potatoes. And he has this weird stuff I've never heard of called saps, which is milk soaked in bread. And I'm like, did your dad ever share his food? He went, are you kidding? He would share that with a dog before he even gave me his leftovers. I'm like, well, there it is. If your own father doesn't like you, if you don't even get the same food that you cook from, if he prefers the dog to you, none of your needs are met. Now, children must idealize their parents. That is the fact. You have to idealize your parents. And when your parents are wrong, you can't ever get that, so you think, I'm wrong. So what you've done is very common. I'm not enough. That's why my parents treat me like this. I'm going to get better, and then they'll be great. And that is the driver that has made you extraordinarily famous and successful. But guess what? You still think you're not enough. And all this stuff is never going to help you because you don't feel enough. So if I was a doctor, I was diagnosing you. Here's your diagnosis. You don't think you're enough. And here's your prescription. I want you to say it every day in the shower, I'm enough. What else are you going to say in there? Oh, I love the smell of this Jo Malone shampoo. I'm enough. You say that over and over and over again. So he's quite up for it. So we've gone around his house, and I've written on all his mirrors in big lipstick, got a lot of lipstick with 4 ex-wives, I'm enough. I said, just say it, say it, say it, think it. So I've written it, and I've taken his phone, and I've put it on his phone alerts every morning, every night. It pings with, I am enough. Anyway, he stayed on the set, and we've done a little bit of work. And then I've had to come back to London because I'm doing both shows, 6 weeks here, 6 weeks there. 6 weeks later, I'm back on my set, and I'm going onto the studio. I'm on the lot, and I'm walking to the recording studio, and I see someone only about as far away as you. And when I see him, and he sees me, he starts to undo his trousers. Then he undoes his shirt, and I'm like, is this guy really going to flash me on a lot in LA? And where is security? And then I realize it's him. And when I get close, he went, look at me. I have lost so much weight. Look how flat my stomach is. He said, I never would have believed that those 3 words could change my life. I went, well, they do that. They changed my life. That's why I teach this stuff. He went, no, but guess what? I've sold the Porsche. He goes, I've got a Mini. Now I'm not a fat, cranky bastard. I don't need that Porsche. And guess what else? I've just started to date a hairdresser. He said, all my girlfriends have been models and actresses. He said, I'm having a normal life. He said, it's like amazing. So I stayed in touch with him. And a couple of years ago, he called me and went, guess where I am? I'm like, tell me. He said, I'm fishing in Iceland. And guess what else? I'm happy. So I've never been happy in my life. I've just got a normal life, and I'm so happy. So I'm back in England, and a psychiatrist calls me, because I do very unusual work. Occasionally, when psychiatrists can't get anywhere, they send me their clients. And this psychiatrist said, look, we've got this girl. She's tried to kill herself. She's been sectioned. I don't know what to do with her. I'm so scared she's going to jump out of a window. Can you come and see what you can do? So I'm like, sure, I've worked with him a lot. So I've gone to this hospital, and I've read her notes, and I understand what's going on. Her mother killed herself when she was young. She found her mother. She's a city trader earning 3 million sterling a year. She's a compulsive shopper, and she's just tried to jump under a train. So I've gone into her room, and I've said, do you know what's wrong with you? She went, oh, yes, I have manic depression, I'm bipolar, I'm a compulsive shopper, and I'm a hoarder. I'm like, you don't think you're enough. I said, all this other stuff. Your mum tried to kill herself, well, did kill herself, and you found her, and any child going through that would think the same thought. If I was enough, how would my mum do that? I wasn't even enough for my mum to live, or not even to kill herself, or I didn't find her. And all this shopping is just filler for the fact that you don't think you're enough. And I said, and I want to help you. She said, well, I'm going to kill myself. It's not if, it's when. I'm like, well, okay. But before you do that, how about you just have a month of saying, and they're not letting you out of here anyway, so how about just saying, I'm enough? They're not letting you near any windows, so you're going to be locked in this room for a while, but how about just doing it? So I did the same thing, took her phone, put on it, I'm enough, and it goes off every morning, every night, wrote it on her mirror, because she was so very fragile. I made her a recording. I hypnotized her, I sat next to her, and I just said in her ear over and over again, you are enough, you are enough. I made her say it back. Because she's so fragile, I start to text her every day saying, you're enough. And she starts to text me back, I am enough. And this girl had such a phenomenal transformation. She gave up her job. She started a charity for depressed people. And this TV station's got her story, and she's going to be on the TV. And they said, can you come on as well? Because you helped her. I'm okay. So I've gone on the TV. This is not about me, the show. It's about her. But at one stage, the anchorman looked at me and went, but what did you do? What did you do that no one else did? And I kind of took a bit of a breath, because I thought, oh my God, they're going to think this is really woo-woo, really LA. I went, well, I told her she was enough. I made her a recording to listen to every day. I wrote it on her hand. I wrote it on her mirror. And I waited for him to roll his eyes, and he went, oh my God, I love that. I'm going to go home, and I'm going to write that on my mirror. And I think all our viewers will love that. So I'm home, and the psychiatrist around me went, oh, I saw the show. I said, what did you think? He went, oh my God, it's so depressing. I'm like, what, the mother? No, you cured that girl in an hour. I have been working with her for years. I'm like, well, why don't you do what I do? I mean, I don't understand. Every psychiatrist is taught the common denominator of all our problems is we don't feel good enough, smart enough, pretty enough, lovable enough. So when you do that psychiatrist, how do you feel today? And how did that make you feel? Which is really psychiatrist. I haven't got a clue what to do with you. So I just keep saying, and how did that make you feel? Stop doing that shit. Go straight to what's wrong with them. It doesn't matter what they feel. They don't feel enough. And then what's really interesting is I've got it going on in my house. So my daughter is an artist, and she sold, in her first showing, she sold 2/3 of all her work in one night. And then it stopped. And she went, oh, Mummy, you know, it's so hard being an artist. I just don't think I can do this anymore, because people aren't buying my work. And I'm like, well, you know, baby, you have picked a career with a lot of rejection, and you've got to learn that they're not rejecting you, because you've actually made your art really edgy and dark. It used to be really pretty, and maybe people don't like that. But let me help you out. You mustn't let rejection in. They're not rejecting you. So I've written on her mirror, I'm enough, in her bedroom, in her studio next to me, in her bathroom. She said, oh, Mum, that is so lame. I am not having that on my walls, because all my friends are going to laugh at me. And I'm like, well, you know, baby, you can take it off anytime you like. But how about just leaving it for a little while? So I've gone back to the States. I've come back. I've run upstairs. And there's my daughter painting, and it's still up. It's on all her walls. And I'm like, oh, you didn't take it down? She went, you know, Mum, I was going to, but all my friends went home and wrote it on their wall. And my boyfriend wrote it on his wall, and this is the link. I'll come back to this later. Here she is. And I put it on my Facebook page, and it got so many likes, so I left it up there. It's still up there now. So now I've got this plumber in my house, and he's going, what's all that on your wall? What is that? I'm enough. And I went, well, you know, it's my little philosophy. Changing the world is a big ask, but I want to change people. And the way to change them is by making them feel they're enough. And so he went, my son, he said he's so angry all the time. He said he's a bit of a nerd. He hasn't got any friends, and I don't know what to do. Shall I go home and write that on his mirror? I'm like, no, because you are dorky, stupid dad. Never do that. Write it on your fridge in big fridge magnets, and write it on your bathroom toilet mirror downstairs, or if you have a hall, write it there. Anyway, 12 days later, he's back with my plumbing part. I've never had a plumber more keen to get back into my house. He's not going to rip me off, and doesn't even go. He said, oh my God. He said, that's like so weird. He said, he's still a nerd, but he's a happy nerd. He's joined some nerdy club, and he's got some nerdy friends, and he's not angry. He said, but even more weird, my wife, who's going through the menopause, was so sad. She says that every day. He said, now I want to write it on the mirror of every bathroom. I'm working, and I'm like, no, you really can't do that yet. Maybe one day. So this I'm enough, it really changes people. So a lot of you in this room, you're interesting people. Creative people are very, very suggestible. It's a huge gift when you understand that if you're creative, you're suggestible. Whatever you tell your mind, it believes. And unfortunately, a lot of my clients are rather like the Philip Seymour Hoffmans, the Heath Ledgers, the Robin Williams of the world, that think they're not enough and give themselves really, really bad suggestions. So I'm sure some of you are going, hey, Marisa, I'm way ahead of you. I have known this for 10 years. I know I'm enough. I don't need this stuff, which is great. What about your children, your wives, your husbands, your staff, your friends, your family? They really need this stuff. So last month, I got this very interesting job. Condé Nast said, fly to Paris. We want you to speak to the editor of every single Vogue and every Vogue Traveler and all our magazines about why magazines aren't selling. It's like, oh, that's not really my remit, but hey, whatever. So I've got on Eurostar, gone to Paris, and I'm going to tell them the truth. Do you know why magazines don't sell? Because you make women feel they're not enough. And while fashion is all wonderful and lovely, and I'm the first one to go, I love my Prada handbag, you could do so much more by meeting someone's emotional needs. So anyway, they're in the room. I'm giving my talk. I'm not quite sure how they're going to go for it. But what's happening is, I'll come back to this in a minute. As I'm putting up my slides, they're all getting out their cameras, and they're all taking pictures. And I'm telling them this story. I gave a talk for Ernst & Young, and when I finished, I said, any questions? They went, yes. Could you come back and give another talk as soon as possible? I'm like, sure. So I've gone back, and this woman has run up and went, oh, my God, you changed my life in 10 minutes. And she said, look what I've got on my hand. I'm like, is that pen? She went, no, it's a tattoo. I've had it tattooed on my hand, and it's changed my life. So all the Vogue editors are taking a picture of this. And I said the same thing to them. Actually, there were some guys in the room. I wasn't expecting that. And I said, look, some of you probably are enough, and you've got everything, and you're at the top of your game, and there's a CEO of Condé Nast. So I said, but you have the same thing. You have daughters, you have sons, you have family members, you have people that need this stuff. So even if you don't need it, do it for them. Anyway, when I finished, that was so awesome. They said, we're cancelling the whole day, and we're taking you out to dinner. And they didn't even put on the next speaker. They did put him on the next day. And the head of Condé Nast said, you know what? I'm so glad you said that. He said, because I am okay. I've got everything. I'm happy with my 2 daughters. They come on shoots. They meet top models. He said, the eldest one is already beginning to show signs of anorexia. I am going home. I am so invested, and I'm enough. He said, I'm going to put that on their walls. I'm going to have a piece of art commissioned. Of course, the head of Condé Nast would have a piece of art commissioned. And it's going to say, I'm enough. And I went to see one of my clients in Spain recently, and she knows she's enough. She's got everything. She's beautiful, lovely, spiritual, got a great company. I've walked in her office, and she has a bank of computers, and everyone is twinkling with this screensaver saying, I'm enough. And she said, you know what? I put that on there for my staff, because they're all like young girls, young women. But actually what's happened is they're better employees. They're also content. They don't seem to have time off sick. So it's become a win-win. So how many of you can actually put your hand on your heart and go, yeah, maybe somewhere I don't feel enough? You see, we're all born knowing we're enough. When I used to take my little baby out in her pram, I'd go, oh my God, your baby's so cute. And she didn't go, don't look at me, I'm having a bad hair day. I have these triple knees, and I got a dirty nappy. She would kick her little legs and smile, because when you're a kid, you know you're enough. You get a round of applause when you pee in the toilet. You blow your nose, you go, oh my God, he can blow his own nose. You say the word cup, they go, he's a genius. He just said cup. And then you go to school. And my daughter's gone to this private school. She's come back, she said to me, Mummy, what is a waste of space? I'm like, where did you hear that? She said, my teacher said I'm a waste of space because I couldn't draw a circle. Okay. A couple of weeks later, I'm taking her into school, and she said, Mummy, you see that little boy? He can write his name in a box. I can't do that. I'm like, baby, your name is Phaedra. The P goes down, the H goes up. It's a beautiful, unusual name. His name is Sam. In a year, everyone can write their name in a box. Who cares? You're a beautiful, artist, you're clever, you're funny. Do not compare yourself to someone who can write their name in a box called Sam. But that's what schools do. And that's what you're up against. So how many of you here are willing to write that on your mirror? You see, this changed my plumber's son. Thank you. Let me see the hands again. How many of you are going to do that? Not just for you, but for someone else. You know, you hear that saying? If you make a difference to one person, your life has meaning and purpose. And if you do that, you're going to make a difference to so many, many people. Check out my next video here. Your thoughts control your feelings. Your feelings control your actions. And your actions control your events. Or you could say your thoughts dictate your feelings. You take away the source of the pain, and the pain is like